What's up guys, the Lazy Goldmaker here with another video, and today we're going to take a quick overview of everything that's coming in 9.2 that's going to be relevant for gold making. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. So the first important thing we are getting in 9.2 is new materials. This is the first time this patch that we are getting new materials since launch. It's going to be one material of each class of material. As you can see here, we have the silken protofiber cloth, which jumps from worms and spiders in Zereth Mortis, protogenic pelt that you get from skinning in Zereth Mortis. It's said that it's only from the strongest creatures. I've not been doing any personal testing on the skinning on PTR because I'm not much of a farmer type. And then you have Progenium ore, which is an ore, obviously from mining nodes. First flower, which is a herb you get from herbalism nodes, and then there's a meat type item and a fish. And those are the main types, the main materials. And then of course we can't forget the Progenitor essentia, which is essentially the spiritual follow-up to quartzite crystals. So obviously, since none of these materials exist in the game right now, there's going to be zero supply going into the patch. We won't have any of these materials. We'll have zilch of all of them. So as long as they're used in anything useful, then demand is going to be very high. And if you're a farmer, then farming these materials is likely going to be very, very lucrative. This has been the case in the past. Anyone who will remember the Nashatar patch of Battle for Azeroth will know how extremely valuable Synanthid was, because it was used in a lot of useful recipes. So this time around, we are not getting any new consumables. The only new recipes we're getting is the gear recipes related to Crafter's Mark of the first ones, and Crafter's Mark 4, and the new legendary vestiges. So that has some ramifications. Mostly it means that the herbs, the meat, the fish, not so useful. None of those are needed for legendaries. You can use the herb for the alchemy Crafter's Mark, but that's about it. The other ones are needed, or potentially needed, or at least potentially used in the vestiges. So they are all going to be extremely valuable and sell really, really well. And obviously the or the Progenitor essentia, which is needed for the legendary, is going to be extremely valuable. So if you have multiple alts to do Zereth Mortis on, to get more of these, that's going to be a great idea. I don't have any price predictions for any of the ores or materials like that, but I do have some price predictions for Progenitor essentia, as I do believe that they will be most likely somewhere between 20 and 50,000 gold in value. And I based this estimate based on what quartzite crystals were valued at the beginning of 9.1, and also like the just very non-scientific belief that I think players are willing to pay roughly 1 token for a rank 7 legendary. I think that's sort of where the pain really starts hitting, and people aren't going to pay that much. So crafting a vestige for about 100k, and then the legendary materials for 20-30k. I think that's sort of the maximum. Of course, it depends on how fast you can get these from the zone. I haven't seen anyone do extensive testing on exactly how many Progenitor essentia you're likely to get per week. But if you can get more of these on your alts, then that's going to be extremely profitable. Don't be surprised to see these go for more than 10,000 gold a piece. That's definitely what I'm expecting, at least. So yeah, that's it for the materials. Let's head on over to the new crafts. So now we're on to the meaningful new recipes. First off, we have the 2 Crafter's Marks that are coming. The Crafter's Mark 4. This one will turn an item into item level 233. This can be used on any of the rare armors. And then you have the Crafter's Mark of the first ones, which will turn an item into item level 262. But it will also set it to unique equipped, so you can only have 1 Crafter's Mark of the first one's piece. Now, both of these recipes are obtained from the same source. As of right now, you get them both at Honored with the Enlightened. At least that was the case the last time I checked the PTR. This is obviously possible that they change and move the higher item level one to Revert, but I'd be surprised if they do that. So what can we expect here? Well, the Crafter's Mark 4 just requires a little bit of the new material and a little bit of some old materials. So obviously I don't think this is going to be super expensive to craft. And we should see some demand. Anyone who's planning to reroll and hasn't farmed gear, they will definitely want to potentially buy a full set of 233 gear, just or at least to shore up any slots where they are still wearing bad gear. Like for instance, if I was rerolling to my poor Death Knight with item level 206 on average, I could get a lot of value from that. Now the Crafter's Mark of the first ones, this is a lot more interesting. Item level 262, which means that this one is going to be an upgrade for most people, including people who have Mythic Sanctum of Domination gear or full item level 252. Because you can get honored on day 8, which means the first day of the second reset. That's the first time you can get this. At this point, there is no higher item level gear out yet. That's when the new season begins, which means that at this point, the point where this recipe becomes available to craft, or first is potentially available to craft, this is going to be a good upgrade for a lot of people. So I would not be surprised to see people buying this, particularly rings and necklaces, because they come with a guaranteed socket. And yeah, it's going to be a 10 item level upgrade potentially. Very useful. 9.1, we saw the similar Crafter's Mark of the Chain Dial. We saw the items there going for 35,000 plus gold on my realm. Which also shores up my prediction of the Progenitor Essentia price, because this Crafter's Mark is going to be expensive because it takes one Progenitor Essentia. In addition to a chunk of the new materials from the relevant profession, so the ore for the blacksmithing one, and a couple of old world materials. So I would suspect that these items probably selling for 35,000-40,000 gold at the beginning, and for a long while, because Progenitor Essentia gonna be expensive for a while. Now it does of course depend on how quickly we can generate Essentia, which is the big unknown here in terms of price. Either way, I expect this to be very profitable early on. The Crafter's Mark gear in 9.1 was incredibly profitable early on, and this is also a little cheaper to get into than Legendary. So if you're sitting at 500k, then just going ham and farming for these recipes and getting them out onto the auction house early is going to be really good. Now, then we have the big one. Rank 7 Legendaries, Vestige of the Eternal. This is going to be huge. Obviously, Legendaries have been the most profitable market in all of the Shadowlands. They're still going to be the most profitable market in all of the Shadowlands in 9.2. The Vestige of the Eternal recipe requires you to complete the quest The Crown of Wills, which is the 5th chapter of the 9.2 campaign, which comes out after in the 3rd week of the patch. You also need to be honored with the Enlightened, but getting honored by in the first 2 weeks, that's pretty easy. You just need to do the daily stuff. Just do the world quest. You don't have to kill a single rare, and you'll get this recipe in time. So that's the nice part. You don't have to stress if you're just going for legendaries. The vestiges are going to have slightly different costs, and the big question here is going to be how expensive the other new materials are. We're on my blacksmither jewel crafter right now, so obviously we have some old materials where the essences are probably more expensive than the Shadowghast ingots the blacksmithing one requires. All of them require 2 Progenitor Essentia, and then some amount of the new material relevant to that profession. So it's going to be the ore for blacksmithing and jewel crafting. It's going to be the cloth for tailoring. It's going to be the leather for leatherworking, obviously. Yeah, jewel crafting probably going to be cheaper than blacksmithing because you only need 10 of the new ore versus 30 of the new ore if you're going for blacksmithing. For leatherworking and tailoring, it's a lot harder to guess. Because I'd need to be able to guess what the price is going to be for the new cloths and leathers. Either way, we'll just have to see what the cheapest is going to be overall. I expect that a very large percentage of the cost is going to be the Progenitor Essentia, and that any differences between the various vestiges isn't going to be huge either way. But that's something we'll have to see when the patch is out. Now, people can craft more than one legendary. Cosmic Flux is apparently pretty easy to get, and by the time you get access to this recipe, most people will have enough cosmic flux to get a rank 7 legendary. And a lot of people will probably have enough cosmic flux to get more than one rank 7 legendary. So I expect demand to be absolutely wild, and you want to be ready with on the third reset, or as soon as this is available, as soon as you can do this chapter, you want to run through that chapter and start crafting. It's going to be wild. I'm going to make another video specifically on legendaries where we dive into the best slots and all of that jazz, but you just want to get into it, just do the dailies, do the world quests, do the bi-weekly quest and kill the world boss, and do the campaign, and you'll have enough reputation to get it when it's available. And yeah, the only other note is buy up Progenitor Essentia early before people get the recipe. And before people can get the Crafter's Mark recipe. Because the moment people get this recipe, then the demand is going to start going up for the essentia, as they can actually use it for something useful. So yeah, that's the quick and dirty. That's the important parts. There's some other small things coming. We do get a new healing potion using the new first flower herb. Doubt that's going to be significantly relevant in terms of gold making. It's going to have a small effect. But the important part is the new gear recipes in terms of Crafter's Mark and legendaries, and all the materials that are put into the Crafter's Marks and the legendaries. If you're farming, farm the new materials. If you have multiple alts, then try to farm Progenitor Essentia. If you're a crafter, farm your reputation, get the new recipes early, and get those bad boys onto the auction house. So yeah, that's it. That's the most important things you need to know about gold making in 9.2. It is going to be very similar to 9.1. We're going to be doing Crafter's Mark gear and legendaries. If you want to make big bucks on a single realm, those are the two good markets to be in. And in my opinion, nothing else comes close. So if you have less than 500k a million, then focus on the Crafter's Mark gear. If you have more than that, in my opinion, you can probably make gold with legendaries, even if you haven't leveled them. I started on a new realm a couple of weeks ago, just leveling recipes. If you're doing it now, you want to level up 1 or 2 recipes to rank 4, and you're going to prioritize the absolutely most popular ones. And then you're going to save gold so you can craft a rank 7 of each of those and have those ready on the day off. So just have all of the materials ready so you can get those onto the auction house as soon as people can, as soon as you can craft them. And then you want to keep building from that point on. A little bit uncertain how many recipes you should go for. Absolutely not all of them, but 1 or 2 focused ones will, in my opinion, most likely pay off. So yeah, that's it. If you have any other questions, just pop them down below and I'll make sure I'll answer them in any further videos that we're going to get out, either before the patch is out or very early on in the patch cycle before things have really fully crystallized. And hopefully you're looking forward to 9.2. I know I am. Good luck, and we'll see you on the next video. Goodbye, guys.